وأرواح المؤمنين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. Last week we briefly spoke about the beginning of the month of Ramadan from the sermon of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he tells us that شهر دعيتم فيه إلى ضيافة الله, a month where you have been invited to the banquet by Allah. And I give example, if you were to be invited by a human being, they would make sure the house is clean, everything has been done prior to your coming, everything's ready for you, so you feel comfortable. Now this is what we would do to our guests. So imagine when the host is Allah himself, what is it that he's going to put on this banquet that you cannot even imagine. It's all up to us, down to us. What do we take from this banquet? So we have reached to the point where now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling you the benefits that you can take from this month. Everything that you do, the outcome is much greater than this. Something I also mentioned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sermon, أنفاسكم فيه تسبيح. Your breathing, inhale, exhale, is considered as tasbih. Now when you look into the Quran, why did Allah choose this as tasbih? Tasbih in itself is one of the greatest ways to remember Allah. In fact, Allah himself in the Quran, whenever he would bring something great, he would say Subhanallah. For example, Subhanallazi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa. When Rasulullah was taken on Mi'raj, Allah said, Subhanalladhi. Allah was praising himself here. Allah was glorifying himself here. Why? That he has taken someone like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on Mi'raj. When he created the human being, what would he say? فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. Here Allah is showing the greatness. So Subhanallah, or the word Subhan, is related to something which is great. Allah has given you that for inhaling in the month of Ramadan. So what is great related in the Quran, Allah has given you, take it as a gift. You're doing nothing. It's something part of your life and you will gain something. Now Rasulullah builds it more. He says, أيها الناس, O people, من حسن منكم في هذا الشهر خلقه. If you were to pay attention to your akhlaq, to how you behave with people around you, with your spouse, with your children, with the community, what would that do to you? Now, it's not just an advantage. When someone is hasanul khuluq, people automatically fall in love with it. You don't have to do anything. You have good akhlaq, people, it's like a gravity. You pull people towards you. But Allah says, just because you have improved your akhlaq in the month of Ramadan, what would I give you? كان له جوازا على الصراط يوم تزل فيه الأقدام. That akhlaq improving that you have done in the month of Ramadan, this would become a path for you on the pull, on the bridge of Sirat, where people would be slipping. As you know, inshallah, once you have passed the 50 stages on the Day of Judgment, then comes the Sirat. This Sirat will be between you and paradise. God forbid, if someone was to slip, hell is underneath them, and the end goal of this Sirat is paradise. If you were to improve your akhlaq in this month, improving your akhlaq, Allah will give that a pass for you. It's a passcode. Take this and enter paradise. Not to mention akhlaq in itself. Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, he says, if you were to know, so you're certain about this knowledge, if you were to know that you have 1 day left of your life, 1 day, I know tomorrow in 24 hours this time, I won't be here anymore. The Imam says, you have to pay attention to one thing. What would you pay attention to if I was to ask you? You would think probably I have wajibat, I have qada, I have backbited someone, I have to ask them to forgive me, I have taken someone's right, I have to give it back to them. This is something that you will pay attention to. Imam Sadiq says, if you were to know that you have one day left, make sure you spend that day improving your akhlaq. Why? Because there is nothing more beneficial in the journey ahead than having good akhlaq. Akhlaq, that's how important it is. We sometimes underestimate it, undermine it. Okay, akhlaq is good manners. Akhlaq covers everything in your life. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. The reason of me being sent, Rasulullah says, is to perfect the akhlaq of the mu'mineen, the akhlaq of the people. And this is how Rasulullah invited people to Islam, through akhlaq, not through La ilaha illallah. No, akhlaq first. 40 years, sadiq and ameen. Akhlaq, truthful, trustworthy. Truthful, trustworthy. Even someone came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, and he says to the Imam, I have come across this group, mashallah, they pray a lot, they fast during the day, they wake up the night. The Imam says, لا تغرنكم. Allahu Akbar. Look at the words of the Imam alayhi salam. لا تغرنكم. Do not let their prayers and fasting deceive you. If you really want to know how good a person is, look at them when they speak. Do they speak truthfulness? And when it comes to amana, do they fulfill that amana? Only then you can tell me they are good people. People can pray. You know, the Battle of Naharwan, people who fought against Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, they were people of Salatul Layl. Imagine namaz tahajjud, something that we sometimes overlook. Those people, they were the people of Salatul Layl, and their foreheads were black due to the sujood. Yet they fought Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Why? Ignorance. So this is not something that, oh mashallah, he prays, he is hafiz al-Quran, he fasts. No. Look at his akhlaq. Look at him when he speaks. So if you were to know you have one day left of your life, Imam Sadiq says, improve your akhlaq. The best way I would recommend the mu'mineen, now that we have this holy month, I believe it is number 19, Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq in Sahifa al-Sajjadiyya. If it's not 19, you can just look up Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq. Just read what the Imam alayhi salam said. You will be baffled. By Allah, you will be baffled. This is Makarim al-Akhlaq that Rasulullah has brought. Imam al-Sajjad, Rasulullah said the narration, Imam al-Sajjad described it in this dua. In fact, it is one of the highly recommended du'as to read on the third Laylatul Qadr. So you have on the 23rd of Ramadan, Laylatul Qadr. In that night, it is recommended to read Makarim al-Akhlaq. Now, you would ask yourself, why are these a'mal put in these places? You know, the best of the nights, in the best of the months, the best of times. Ahlebait tell you, read Makarim al-Akhlaq. Why? This is what you should be paying attention to. This is what will change your fate. Qadr is what? Fate. If you want your fate to be changed, then you have to pay attention to the akhlaq. Then Rasulullah says, وَمَنْ خَفَّفَ فِي هَذَا الشَّهْرَ عَمَّا مَلَكَتْ يَمِينُهُ خَفَّفَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ حِسَابَهُ. Now, what does malakat yamino? Malakat yamino is something that is under your possession, let's say, under your control. The word control is not the proper way. For example, spouses, wives, they are your responsibility. This is a better word. Your responsibility. Whoever is under your responsibility, you have to take it easy on them in this month. If you were to take it easy on them, what would happen? Allah will take accountability easy for you on the Day of Judgment. Just because I'm a husband and I have a wife, in this month, just like you get tired, you're hungry, you're thirsty, so is she. A human being, after all. So let's not put that pressure on them. Like, unfortunately, it's become like a culture that, you know, everything is on them. They have to cook, they have to clean, they have to look after the kids. After iftar, you know, we lay back, you know, where's the tea, where's the sweet, and they have to go and wash the dishes as well, okay? Rasulullah says you have to take it easy on those whom are your responsibility. If you were to do that, Allah will make it easy for you, your accountability on the Day of Judgment. وَمَنْ كَفَّ فِيهِ شَرَّهُ كَفَّ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ غَضَبَهُ يَوْمَ يَلْقَاهُ. If you were to put your evil on the side in this month, anything evil, just put it on the side. Allah will put His wrath away from you on the Day of Judgment. Look at the rewards, they're not easy. Do this, Allah will do this for you. This is something you would not find in any other month. وَمَنْ أَكْرَمَ فِيهِ يَتِيمًا أَكْرَمَهُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ يَلْقَاهُ. If you were to be generous, if you were to be good to an orphan, someone who is orphan, Allah will honor you on the day when you meet Allah. And mashallah, which is unfortunate that in our countries back home, be it Pakistan, be it Iraq, there are many orphans. Look after a family for the month of Ramadan. Just by looking after them, just by honoring them, Allah will honor you on the day that you meet Allah. وَمَنْ وَصَلَ فِيهِ رَحِمَهُ وَصَلَهُ اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَتِهِ يَوْمَ يَلْقَاهُ. This is the month of Silatul Rahim. Silatul Rahim is, near kin, relatives. If there's any problems you've had with them in the past, for the sake of the month of Ramadan, invite them over. Go outside and eat somewhere. Bring this Salah Rahmi together. If you were to do that, Allah, on the Day of Judgment, what would He do? وَصَلَهُ اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَتِهِ. Allah will bring you closer to His Rahmah. Just because you have taken that step. وَمَنْ قَطَعَ فِيهِ رَحْمَةً قَطَعَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ رَحْمَتَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. God forbid, if someone was to cut the Salah Rahmi in this month, Allah would cut him away from His Rahmah on the Day of Judgment. Now this is the only warning that I have come across, but this shows you how important the relation in the Quran, in the narrations of Ahlul Bayt. In fact, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The Imam says when he read the Quran, he found that Allah curses the one who cuts his relatives off 3 times in the Quran. 3 times Allah curses them. Now, what does la'na mean? La'na, putting someone away from Allah's mercy. Now, that in itself is a huge problem. If you are away from Allah's mercy in this dunya and in the akhirah, it's a huge problem. So this is something that we have to look into in the month of Ramadan. وَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ فِيهِ بِصَلَاةٍ كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بَرَاءَةً مِنَ النَّارِ. Look how beautiful this is. وَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ. Volunteering. Now sometimes we find that doing our wajibat in itself is a burden. Unfortunately, 5 namaz, it's namaz time, I have to do it just because it's a burden, I get it out of the way. In this month, Rasulullah says, if you were to volunteer 2 rak'ah, how long does it take? A minute or 2? What would Allah do? Allah would write that one prayer away, a ticket for you away from hellfire. 2 rak'ah, tatawwa. Just because you volunteered in this month, what would Allah do? Okay, he has read these 2 rak'ah for me, I would keep him away from hellfire. Now you could imagine if you were to go to Mafatih al-Jinan, there are so many prayers you cannot even account for. Choose one of them and offer it. This might be too late to mention now, but there is a prayer by Imam Mohammed al-Jawad alayhi salam, which is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It is a 1,000 rak'ah throughout the month. You'd read 20 between 8 after Maghrib and then 12 after Isha, so 12 every day, and then you'd read 300 by the last 10 nights and 100 in each Laylatul Qadr. If you were to add it up, 1,000 rak'ah, the reward for this that the Imam has mentioned in Mafatih al-Jinan will leave you thinking, what have I missed on? 1,000 rak'ah throughout the month. But this is all volunteering. Another prayer, which is very easy, probably 1,000 rak'ah is too much for the mu'mineen. 2 rak'ah, in each rak'ah, after Alhamd, Qul huwallahu ahad 3 times. Look up, even you can find it on du'as.org. It's in the daily night prayers. Very easy prayer. Qul huwallahu ahad 3 times after Surah Al-Hamd. When you finish Salah, there's a prayer which you can read it again from du'as.org or Mafatih al-Jinan. Subhana man huwa hafidhun la yaghfir, Subhana man huwa rahimun la ya'jal. And then by the end you say 10 times Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, just for doing these 2 rak'ah, which maximum will take 3-4 minutes, I promise you. 70,000 sins are forgiven. 70,000 thawab is given to you. Not to mention what I just said now, bara'atan min an-nar. Volunteer something in this month. Don't just stick to wajibat. I have to do fasting, okay, I will do it. I have to do wajibat, I will stick to them. No, do something extra. You have to make this month feel special for yourself. Don't make it like any other month. Your relation with the Quran just like any other month. Your relation with the prayers just like any other month. No, make it extra special. ومن أدى فيه فرضا كان له ثواب من أدى 70 فريضة فيما سواه من الشهور. Now the fariḍa, which is wajib, if you were to offer one fariḍa, you would be given the thawab of 70 fara'id in any other month. So if any other month I was to offer my fariḍa, I will get 5. In this month, every day you get 350 prayers worth of thawab. This is the banquet that I was talking about. Look, Allah is telling you, this is the banquet. Come and take whatever you want. Now, if the banquet is there and I sit down in the corner, just looking how people are taking things from it, it's my fault. Allah is not going to hold my hand and pull me towards the banquet day. I have invited you. You're more than welcome now. It's up to you what you take from this banquet. Now, normally, if you were to go to a banquet and mashallah, you've been fasting, the first thing that you would lay your eyes on what? The best dish, your favorite dish. That's where you go to. In the month of Ramadan, see what is the best thing that you can work on. Is it your akhlaq? Is it the Quran? Is it your prayers? It's all down to you. Every one of us has different things that we need to improve on. No one's perfect. وَمَنْ أَكْثَرَ فِيهِ الصَّلَاةَ عَلَيْهِ. Now this is simple and on the walk, on the go. Whomsoever was to increase sending salawat on me. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, ثَقَّلَ اللَّهُ مِيزَانَهُ يَوْمَ تَخِفُّ الْمَوَازِينَ. Allah Akbar. Look how easy it is. By Allah, you know, this reminds me of the narration where Rasulullah says, الشقي من حرم غفران الله في هذا الشهر العظيم. The worst of the people is the one who does not get the forgiveness of Allah in this month. Why? Look at the rewards that you can get. If you were to say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad in your days, in the month of Ramadan, Allah will make your scale heavier on the day of judgment when everyone else's scale becomes light. Why? Just because Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Which you can do right now. You're listening. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You're listening to, I don't know if you attend the iftar, you know, when the Maulana is giving you a lesson, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Very easy. You're driving, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Very simple things. In fact, a narration by Imam Rada alayhi salam, someone came to him, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He was of an old age and he says to the Imam that I have committed sins so much that I've come to an age I do not have the energy to do good deeds just as much as I have done bad deeds. Give me something that will make up for what I had missed. The Imam tells him, أكثر من الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Increase the salawat on Muhammad wa Muhammad as much as you can. Why? Because it makes your a'mal on the day of judgment heavier. And again, a narration by the Imam alayhi salam, he says, when the a'mal have been done on the day of judgment and your bad deeds have outweighed the good deeds, Allah will bring forth the thawab of salawat on Muhammad wa ali Muhammad to make your good deeds heavier than your bad deeds. It's the way out. Look how simple and easy it is. Anything that is related to this household becomes easier for you. Anything that is related to this household, Allah makes barakah for you in this dunya and in the akhirah. وَمَنْ تَلَى فِيهِ آيَةً مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Whomsoever recites one ayah from the Quran, كَانَ لَهُ مِثْلَ أَجْرَ مَنْ خَتَمَ الْقُرْآنِ فِي غَيْرِهِ مِنَ الشُّهُورِ. One ayah is equivalent to the whole of the Quran in any other month. This is something that we have to pay extra attention to. لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ رَبِيعٌ وَرَبِيعُ الْقُرْآنِ شَهْرُ رَمَضَانِ. Everything has a spring, and the spring of the Quran is the month of Ramadan. Now look at, I really want to end the sermon with this. Now Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, he took the advantage, you know, it's so good, this month has so many rewards, so what is it that is the best of deed? He asks Rasulullah, ما أفضل الأعمال في هذا الشهر. أفضل الأعمال, the best of deeds. Rasulullah says to him, Al-wara'u an maharimillah. Keeping yourself away from the haram that Allah has set for you. So in fact, if you think about it, it's not really a amal anymore. It's not amal. Guard yourself. Do not go towards that which is haram. Yes, it is a nafs that you have to overcome, but it's not really a amal. You sit back and you get thawab for it. The best of the deeds is that you keep yourself away from the haram of Allah in this month. Now imagine if you were to train yourself for 30 days, I do not speak lies, I do not backbite, I do not look at that which is haram, I do not listen to the haram. Imagine for 30 days, do you think you'd really go back to how you were before Ramadan? Very unlikely. And this is where the ayah of the Quran comes, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You will become a muttaqi by the end of the month of Ramadan. A muttaqi, not a mu'min. Mu'min in itself is a high accomplishment. These 30 days are more than enough for you to achieve taqwa. That's how easy is Allah has made it for you in the month of Ramadan. Now, when Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib asks the Imam, asks Rasulullah about this, Rasulullah started to weep. So Imam Ali finished his question, Rasulullah answers him, then Rasulullah started to weep. Imam Ali says to the Prophet, مَا الَّذِي يُبْكِي? Why is it that you cry, O Rasulullah? يا علي أبكي لما يستحل منك في هذا الشهر كأني بك وأنت تصلي ربك وقد انبعث أشقى الأولين والآخرين شقيق عاقر ناقة ثمود فضربك ضربة على قرنك فخضب منها لحيتك. Rasulullah is telling the Imam of what's going to happen to the Imam in the future on the night of the 19th of Ramadan. Why is it that Rasulullah was crying? For what is going to befall Amir al-Mu'mineen on this night. This is Rasulullah telling Amir al-Mu'mineen. Look what the Imam paid attention to. He says, فَقُلْتُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ وَذَلِكَ فِي سَلَامَةٍ مِّن دِينِي. Allahu Akbar. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, your Imam, your Shi'as, the one who is kull Iman. You know, he is not mu'min, he is the Iman itself. If you were to keep yourself away from him, you're away from Iman. He is the Iman itself, like Rasulullah said, بَرَزَ الْإِيمَانُ كُلُّهُ. In the battle of Khandaq, the whole of faith is going to fight the whole of kufr, the whole of faith. He does not say Ali is going to fight. Look at the description Rasulullah gives Amir al-Mu'mineen. And what is Rasulullah? وَمَا يَنْتُقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He does not speak of his own until Allah reveals unto him. So Allah sees Amir al-Mu'mineen as the embodiment of faith. What does he ask? When I am struck by أشقى الأولين والآخرين, will I be on my faith? Look what he's paying attention to. Not that, is there any way that I cannot be there? Is there any way that I can live longer? What can I do? No. Am I going to die faithful, Ya Rasulullah? I ask you, Amir al-Mu'mineen faithful? Come on. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Someone whom no one knows him except for Allah and Rasulullah. Ya Ali la ya'rifuka illa Allah wa ana. No one knows Ali Amir al-Mu'mineen except for Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. He is paying attention to what? Will I die faithful? Rasulullah says, Fi salamatin min dinik. Yes, you're going to be faithful. If this is your Amir, why do I take my Iman guaranteed, inshallah, until the end of my life, I will be a mu'min? No guarantee. And the mu'min tells you anything that could happen in this dunya. Nothing is guaranteed. That's why one of the prayers that we have to ask Allah for is to keep us on the straight path. Keep us on the straight path. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. What does it mean? Keep us on the straight path. Keep us. Every day, it is wajib on your life. 10 times, keep us on the straight path. The path of whom? The path of those whom you have bestowed your blessings upon. And if you were to read the Quran, they are who? The Anbiya, the Siddiqeen, Shuhada, and Salihin. So Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad are amongst these people. On the path of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And then at the end you say, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ. You have never been angry at them and they have never been misguided. If you do not want to be misguided, then you have to stick to Muhammad wa al Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There's no other way. I end with this dua by Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam, which again, something that we can take in the month of Ramadan. It's called Dua al-Ghayba. Zaman al-Ghayba, the dua that you would read in dua in the occultation of the Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. What do you say to Allah? Allahumma arifni nafsak fa innaka in lam tu'arifni nafsak lam a'rif nabiyak. Allahumma arifni nabiyak fa innaka lam tu'arifni nabiyak lam a'rif hujjatak. Allahumma arifni hujjatak fa innaka in lam tu'arifni hujjatak dalaltu an dini. Oh Allah, grant me your recognition. If I do not recognize you, I won't recognize your Prophet. Grant me the recognition of your Prophet. If I do not know your Prophet, I won't know your Hujjah. Grant me the recognition of the Hujjah, for if I do not know the Hujjah, what would happen to you and I? ضَلَلْتُ عَنْ دِينِي. I will be misguided from my religion. What do you say in Surah Al-Hamd? وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Every day you repeat this 10 times. Wajib, 10 times. You say to Allah, not to make you from the misguidance. What do you have to do to not be from those who are misguided? You have to have that link with Hujjah Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Something that I came across in Dua al-Nudba today. Subhanallah, and sometimes we have to pay attention. We read, just for the sake of, finishing Dua Kumayd, finishing Dua al-Nudba, finishing Quran. Pay attention. I wanted to see, this Dua, what is it that how can you link yourself with the Imam alayhi salam? I have seen this morning, we ask Allah in Dua al-Nudba, we say to him, وَأَعِنَّا عَلَى الْإِجْتِهَادِ فِي طَاعَتِهِ. What do we say to Allah? Oh Allah, help us to be more obedient to the Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala. Imagine. Now, we know that ta'atullah, obedience of Allah, but in this dua we say to Allah, we want to be obedient to your Imam. And then what do you say at the end of it? وَالْإِجْتِنَابِ مِن مَعْصِيَتِهِ, not مَعْصِيَتِكِ. If you were to disobey the Imam, you have disobeyed Allah. That's how it is. Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Allah لَقَدْ قَرَنَ طَاعَتِهِمْ فِي طَاعَتِهِ وَمَعْصِيَتِهِمْ فِي مَعْصِيَتِهِ. If you were to obey Ahlul Bayt, you have obeyed Allah. If you were to obey Allah, you have obeyed Ahlul Bayt. It goes 3 ways. That's how they are together. You can't separate them. Quran, Ahlul Bayt. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So in this month, when you pay attention to all these good deeds, do not forget how can you strengthen your connection with Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. He is, something that I have read, and it's very beautiful. The soul of the month of Ramadan is what? The night of? The night of Qadr. And the soul of Laylatul Qadr is the Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So the soul of the month of Ramadan is the Imam. You cannot spend the whole month not mentioning your Imam at least once every day. One of the du'as that is mustajab is on the iftar night, just before you eat the date or you put something in your mouth. That du'a is mustajab. I don't know if you have come across this. This is by, I believe, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He says that one of the du'as, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, upon the iftar is mustajab. Make that dua for your Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala. Leave your hajat on the side. By Allah, if you pray for the Imam prays for you. And if he prays for you, Allah will accept it. Rather than you praying for your hajat, the Imam is praying for your hajat. Why? Because you remembered him, he will remember you. So that dua before you open your iftar, after namaz, you say Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-hujjat ibn Hasan. 30 seconds. It doesn't take much for someone who is the reason behind everything that we have. Surely he deserves dua at the time of iftar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar fasalli li rabbika wanhar inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وغضبه وبسط اليدين بالرحمة. سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وعفى عن السيئات ولم يجاز بها. سبحان من لا يزداد على معاصي العباد إلا كرما وجودا وعلى كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا وصفحا. نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو العطوف على العباد بجوده والعواد على المذنبين بحلمه. ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين صلى الله عليه وآله الداعين إلى سبيل الله بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة قادة الأمم وأولياء النعم ومعدن الرحمة. أوصيكم عباد الله بالتوبة عما سلف من ذنوبكم والإنابة عن الأوزار التي أثقلت ظهوركم فإنه تعالى كريم بكم رؤوف عليكم يقبل اليسير ويعفو عن الكثير. قال الله تعالى وقوله الحق توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار. وقال قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. لقد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليه وآله وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين وبضعة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ماحي آثار البدع والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاصد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه